Other things also need to be addressed. So it's really best that you touch base with a health professional who can give you guidance. Coming up next, we're going to be learning more about anti-inflammatory foods for your feet. We're back here on Revive Life and our show on foot health. When most people think about nutrition and their health, they have no trouble associating the foods that they eat with their weight loss or heart health. However, your diet affects many other parts of your body, including your feet. Your feet are connected to the rest of your body, and what you put into your body is what makes up your body. So, if you're having foot woes, think about how you eat. One problem linked to nutrition that can affect your feet is inflammation. Certain foods can increase chemicals in your body that cause tissue inflammation. And this inflammation could appear in your foot as plantar fasciitis, which causes pain in the thick band of tissue that runs across the bottom of your foot, in your heel, or elsewhere in your foot. Many common foods in the American diet encourage inflammation, such as the refined grains, the sugars, the trans fats, and many baked goods and junk foods. The saturated fats in red meat and the omega-6 fats found commonly in vegetable oils such as corn, soybean, and sunflower oils. In addition, some people may have increased levels of inflammation in their body due to chronic allergies to common foods such as wheat. Another factor that can contribute to inflammation is eating too many foods that cause your blood sugar to rise quickly, such as sweets, white flour, and pasta. So another foot tip for you is eat more omega-3 fats. Fatty fish such as salmon, as well as fish oil supplements, are good sources to reduce inflammation in your feet. Another important foot change is to get rid of refined sugars and sweeten with natural fruits and lower glycemic index options like yacon syrup, agave, maple syrup, or honey. Our next guest, Jessie Swain from the Urban Element, is here to show us how it's done. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So we were talking earlier, and we were talking about how fun it is to cook and what energy people get from cooking and how important foods are. When it comes to natural sweeteners, what are some other options besides thinking about adding sugar? You know, the recipes all call for it.
I mean, it's funny how much sweetness you can get from things like applesauce, bananas,
Yeah.
and then I've used dates here today, which people sometimes think or sugar.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I mean, and then you can go on to things like maple syrup and honey.
Sure.
Other sweeteners like that. But it's surprising how much sweetness you can get out of fruit alone.
Exactly. I love that idea. And also too, you could use extracts. You could use vanilla extract
Absolutely.
or, you know, lemon or lime.
Sure.
You've got some samples of different sweeteners. Can you run us through them and just sort of give us your health tips on them?
Sure. Well, I brought in raw honey today. So the difference between raw honey, you can see the color, the consistency. It's unpasteurized, so heat destroys a lot of the enzymes in regular honey. So regular honey that you get at the grocery store that's clear is missing a lot of the good stuff that you want, the
Yes.
enzymes, the amino acids. The list goes on with honey. It's
Yeah.
such an amazing food.
Which is interesting because, again, really it comes back to if we overprocess foods, then we
Certainly.
start losing the nutrition.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, of course, good old maple syrup. Being in this region, this is one of my favorites. And it's very sweet, so you only need a little bit of that. But that comes from the area that I live in, so I'm a big fan of
You're
that.
from Perth.
Yeah.
I love it because my brother just emailed us, and my parents are going to visit him, and they're in Europe. And he said, you know, what can we send with mom and dad? Maple syrup.
Absolutely, it's a given.
Okay, and you've got another sweetener option as well.
Well, I brought in, these are some of the ingredients that I used in my recipes today. So these aren't sweeteners per se, but
Okay.
they're really great anti-inflammatory ingredients in my cooking today. So we've got the raw almond butter, so it contains a lot of enzymes in that because it's not heated, it's not
Yeah.
roasted. And then coconut oil, so you were talking about the importance of omega-3s. Coconut oil is not an omega-3, it's actually a saturated fat, and there's a bit of misunderstanding about that. But
That's
coconut
right.
oil actually, when we're talking about anti-inflammatories, it actually contains some anti-inflammatory agents. And it's also considered a miracle food by some. So
Yeah, and this has been more of recent that people are understanding the difference in fats because
Right.
they kind of just lumped them all together and said coconut oil is a saturated fat, it must be bad for
Right.
us. But there's a difference between medium chain, short chain, and long chain, and the coconut oil provides us with the proper constituents as well as it's an antimicrobial. So
yeah,
it's
got
great
a
for your
lot going for
skin
it.
and
Yeah.
everything.
A lot of people just put it right on their lips
Yeah.
or you know, it's
My son had a scar and it wasn't healing, and you know there's lots of different options, but I thought we're in the kitchen, let's just put some coconut
Yeah,
oil on
yeah.
it, and it really actually seems to be helping
yeah,
too.
it's the base of a lot of moisturizers and lip balms and things like that. 'Cause
Exactly.
It's fantastic. So.
You have some great foods here.
Yeah.
What are we going to make today?
Okay, so what we're going to make is an amazing, I guess you could look at it as a whipped cream substitute for somebody that's dairy-free, sugar-free. So what I've made over here is the date squares, raw date squares. They not normally served with whipped cream, but I kind of thought that the cashew cream would be a good.
I love that concept, cashew cream,
Cashew
because
cream.
everybody likes cream, right?
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. So what we'll do is I've already soaked these cashews for 4 hours, and I've drained the water. These are cashew pieces. You can use whole cashews. It doesn't matter.
And why do you have to soak them?
Well, a lot of people say that soaking nuts makes the nutrients more bioavailable to you. So,
Okay.
and also just cooking, it just makes things maybe a little faster to blend up
Sure.
as opposed to using whole unsoaked nuts. So we're
Okay.
going to put that in here in this amazing device, which
Brand
makes
new blender or a food
brand new
processor.
food
that you
processor.
got.
Okay, so we've got that is a cup of soaked cashews.
Okay.
We've got a quarter of a cup of water, and the amount of water you use just depends on how thick of a consistency. Like if you can see that's quite thick, that's more of like a whipped cream. Some people like it a bit thinner, sort of to pour it over, sort of like a British style cream. So, so I'm just going to use a little bit to try and get that consistency. I've just got a teaspoon of vanilla extract, as we talked about, and 2 tablespoons of good old. Actually, this is not Quebecois maple syrup. This is local Lanark County maple syrup, and that's it.
Beautiful.
And then we'll just go with our food processor on
So
high.
easy.
Okay, so to get that consistency, we would need to go for quite a long time. You don't
Yeah.
want it to be grainy, so you just let it go and go. And I found it took about 10 minutes, but
Okay.
that's the starting of this
Beautiful.
over here.
It's so easy and it looks absolutely delectable. And again, the really importance is helping people eat healthier and helping them understand the fact that the food is still going to taste great.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people, due to intolerances, allergies, things like that, have had to cut out, as you talked about, dairy and sugar, 2 major things a lot in the standard North American diet. So it's fun that you can still have whipped cream and it's kind of good for you at the same time.
Exactly. You've got some other wonderful foods here that use our natural sweeteners. What other options do you have?
So I used rice paper wraps to make veggie sort of rice wraps. you know, I've avoided using wraps with wheat, for example, as you already talked about. That's can be an inflammatory food for some people. So, and also just the raw vegetables contain a lot of enzymes, so that's really great for anti-inflammatory properties.
And when you're working with these rice paper wraps, you buy them in the grocery store and they look like little flat discs.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you work with them?
Well, I had a lot of trial and error with them. I was told to soak them, and if you soak them, they just become really gummy and unworkable. So I basically just have a bowl of warm water. I put them in, I would say maybe 10 seconds at the most, shake out the extra water, put them down. I would usually use like a clean tea towel, put them down, and then start my filling in the middle of the wrap. And then kind of wrap it up like a burrito.
Okay.
And wrap up.
That
And so these
so
ones here have been
beautiful.
cut in half, that's so you can see the side.
Great
inside.
lunch option.
Yeah.
Then you've got this beautiful loaf. What do we have here?
So this is the zucchini oat honey loaf. So again, we've avoided using wheat by using oats. So I actually just ground this flour myself in a spice grinder. It's just whole gluten-free flaked oats, just ground up. It took 2 seconds. So that's a great option for someone who's gluten intolerant.
Yes.
Then we've got the zucchini. Then this one is using the raw honey. So that's one of the sweeteners we talked about at the beginning.
Beautiful. I know you're just starting your business, so we wish you all the best of luck. And this girl's really talented. She's actually a flight attendant, and now she's getting into her cooking, and she's a holistic nutritionist. So thank you for spending time with us today.
No problem.
Coming up next, we're going to talk a lot more about foot health. We're going to talk about how your walk might tell you something about your health. So stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Awesome.
Yeah. Take a step and then feel pain in your foot or ankle? If the answer is yes, then this is a show for you. Welcome back to Revive Life. I'm naturopathic Dr. Joelle. Another foot tip for you is don't forget the simple stuff and use ice, rest, elevation, and wrapping if needed. Our next guest has a thirst for life and loves to educate. He's an expert in sports medicine, biomechanics, and gait analysis. You can find him at the Gloucester Center Chiropractic. Welcome, Dr. Mark Sweezy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back on, Jill.
Yeah,
it's great to be
it's always fun. We're always chit-chatting about all kinds of sports and everything.
Yeah, talk about kids skiing and golf coming up. Yeah,
exactly. So for our show on foot health. You are an expert on orthotics. So we've already spoken about some of the common issues that take place for feet health. And then if we actually then start looking at, well, let's actually finish the assessment. So I know that you're very good at gait analysis. So what exactly does that mean and what takes place?
Well, I went to University of Waterloo before I went to chiropractic college, and we did a lot of gait analysis in the lab there, and we'd have a pressure mat, and you're measuring directional forces of the foot and how the body comes down on it. So that always got me interested in watching people walk, and you see how it is. And then as a chiropractor, then you're looking at their posture of their spine, that ties into their feet and the knees and everything. So when I see someone, I'm starting the whole body, and I'm going to look at how they're walking, how the pressure's coming down, what kind of rotations on the foot. So I use, one of the tools I use when I'm doing that gait analysis is the orthotic group gait scan. It's a pressure mat, and it's going to measure you statically, where you're just standing, we get you your balance, and then we'll see what you're doing when you're actually walking. So
well,
we'll
let's
do
go
that now, and
through
then we'll talk about it a bit.
Okay,
so I've kind of entered you in.
What do we do?
And now I just have to get us ready to go. All right, so what you're going to do first is just stand on the mat facing this way, and you're already got your shoes off, so that's good.
Okay.
And just look straight ahead, and we'll just do a little analysis, and then we take a little picture of that.
Tell me about how I can fix my
feet.
feet.
And if I just kind of look at, and you mentioned about your feet, and yes, there's some little issues there.
There's some
good thing the camera's up here, not down there. Okay, so you can step off that. We've got a little picture. You can have a look at that. So you're someone that's a little bit more heel pressure than floor pressure, which is probably common with if you wear heels and stuff like that. Then you're up on the heels, and then when you take your heel off, then you're getting pulled back by the little bit tighter Achilles pulling you back.
I like shoes.
You like shoes and probably some high heels to that. So now we're going to go forward with the dynamic part of this. So that was static.
And are there certain exercises that I should be working on to help?
You probably need to do some stretching, like your
Okay.
soleus, which is a muscle here, and then your gastrocs are a bit tight going to the Achilles. So doing some soleus stretches where you're bending the knee, and there's gastrocs
Where are you doing
you're
that?
keeping the knee straight.
Okay.
Doing lots of stretches like that. And then you can also do hamstrings as well, because that ties into the back of the leg. You can do those and pulling the leg up. So just by sitting into it a little bit and bringing the toe up, you'll feel a stretch of the hamstring, but that'll do a little bit of the gastrocs as well, which is going to help that. So with this one, you're going to start from this end. You're going to walk across the mat, and you just keep walking 1 foot and right up. That was beautiful. And then you're going to go back to the other side. That was your right foot, so we put that in here, store it, you save that. And we're going to do another one with your left foot now.
Okay, same thing.
Good. Now we've got both feet, and you can just have a look at this here.
It's really neat.
Yeah. So with this, your right foot is showing quite a bit of collapse. This little black dotted line is showing us where your pressure pattern is. Sorry, the cord. It should be curving out a little bit more, and then coming back, and you push off with the toe area here between the big toe and the second toe. You're doing that a bit left, although there's a bit of hesitation in the midfoot. You might be a little unstable with the ankle support there. But this right foot is really just driving right through in a straight line. So there's a lot of collapse in that arch. That's what that tells us. And when I look at your foot and I actually look at it visually, which is the other information I'm getting is my own just experience, you actually do have a fair bit of collapse in the foot. With a foot like that, we look at for bunions and whatnot as well, and forcing that large great toe to be pushed medially because you're not kind of curving on and coming at the right angle. So an orthotic is going to try to correct that. Well, it will correct that. It gives you a